Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you're listening from. My name is Bernard, and today I will be critically reviewing the research paper titled A Human Center Multi-Perspective and Interactive Visual Tool for Explainable Machine Learning. This presentation is part of my coursework for information visualization for spring 2025 at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock under the supervision of Dr. Michael Edward uh, Todoreno. Uh, Artificial intelligence continue to influence a critical decision making in the field, such as the healthcare, finance, governance, uh, and others. However, one of the major challenges that persists is AI explainability. Many machine learning model operate as a black boxes, making it very difficult for user to understand how and why a decision are made. Without transparency, trust in AI, it's significantly reduced. The authors of this study propose they explain ML, an interactive visualization tool designed to enhance AI interpretability through multi-perspective visual explanation. In this presentation, I will not only summarize the paper's contribution, but also is to also evaluate how effective the authors have communicated their research, applying the principle of Tufte, principle of effective visualization. Before we dive into the details, I will provide a quick overview of what we will cover. The presentation it's structured into seven key sections. One, I'll begin by explaining the explain ML and discussing the motivation behind its development. Next, I will discuss and summarize the core contributions of the study, and they highlight the key findings from the author's usual study. Following that, I would also try to analyze the strengths of the paper before discussing some of its limitation. Then I will apply Tufte's principle to evaluate how well the author presented their finding visually. And finally, I will conclude with the future research direction and the area of improvement. And now let's start by understanding the motivation behind the explained ML. One of the biggest challenges in machine learning today is lack of transparency. AI models are often complex and difficult to interpret, which raise some concern about the trust, bias, and accountability. In fact, the inability to explain AI decision has a serious implication, particularly in high stake, domains such as the finance and also the health sector, where fairness and accuracy are quite very important. The the authors of this paper rather introduced Explain ML, a visualization tool designed to help user explore and interpret AI generative prediction. The tool provide multiple perspectives on AI decision making, enabling users to compare different explanation techniques in an interactive environment. Explain ML focus on three core functionality. The feature importance analysis model highlights the most influential variables in the model decision. The instances level expression features allow user to integrate and evaluate or investigate the specific AI prediction and also compare them with the baseline model. The global versus local explanation functionality. This distinguishes between the model overall behavior and its decision making at an individual level. Therefore, to assess the effectiveness of this tool, the authors conduct a structured user study, which I will now try to summarize. To assess the effectiveness of this tool, the researcher has designed ML a model as an interactive AI explanation system, evaluated its effectiveness through user study. Participants were divided into group and asked to analyze machine learning model using ML using the explained machine learning, comparing the experience with traditional explainability tools such as the Sharp and the Linear. The study aimed at to answer three primary research questions. The first question was whether explain machine learning helps user trust a decision more than existing method. The second was whether it improved the ability to detect AI bias error. The third examined whether explain machine learning is more intuitive and user-friendly compared to the traditional tool. This provided, an insightful finding, which, I will now dive in. I will now dive in. One, the study review, key insights. Uh, Explain ML improve around, as you can see, around 72% compared to the Sharp and Lemon. And the participants seems to reported that they had a greater confidence in the AI decision making when using the Explain ML because it provides a clearer breakdowns of the feature importance and the model behavior. Another major finding was that Explain ML helped users to detect and correct the bias in the AI model. And this was particularly relevant for the application where fairness is crucial, such as the healthcare, diagnostics, and loan approval, for example. Despite these strengths, some challenges emerge. The system struggled when applied to large data sets, leading to performance issue. Additionally, some of the participants found that the multi-perspective explanation was quite overwhelming, particularly when switching between different levels of model interpretation. This finding highlight both the strengths and the limitation of the Explain ML. Now, let's assess the strengths of the paper itself. Um, One of the merits, this paper makes a significant contribution to the explainable AI research. One of its greatest strengths is the introduction of multi-perspective visualization framework, which allow users to compare different explanation techniques side by side. This structural approach provides a more comprehensive view of the model behavior. Another important strength is the study human-centric design. The author designed and explained ML to be interactive and user-friendly, focusing on how practitioner can engage with AI explanation more effectively. A key merit of the study is its empirical validation, which I also find very useful. The authors benchmark explain ML against industry standards explainability tool, and also demonstrate a strong advantage through its structure user study. The paper also highlight broad applications showing that explained ML can be integrated into real-world situation workflow. Example, the healthcare, which I gave the example earlier. Even policy making. Despite this contribution, the paper has some limitation, which I will now discuss in the next slide here. Although the study presents valuable finding, it also has some weaknesses. One of the a major limitation that I find out is the scalability. Explain ML does not perform well with the large-scale dataset or complex AI model, which restricts its use in high-volume production environment. Another issue which I also find out is the complexity of the visual explanation. Some of the figures which that was introduced, it's quite cognitive overloaded, making it quite very difficult for non-technical user to really extract key insight. A more streamlined visualization approach, therefore, could improve the accessibility. A further limitation, which I find, is lack of strong implementation guideline. The paper demonstrates the tool's usefulness, but does not provide a sufficient detail on how practitioner can integrate explain ML into its own workflow. However, beyond these technical challenges, the paper visualization strategy itself has both strengths and the weakness, which I will evaluate using the Edward Tufte's principle in the next slide here. Applying Tufte's principle of effective visualization, I evaluate how well the paper communicates its findings using the SWOT analysis. The study presents data density effectively by using a comparative visualization, making it easier, to assess the explained MI performance against the traditional method. Despite this, some of the figures introduced are quite cognitive overloaded, as I earlier highlighted, violating Tufte's principles of progressive disclosure. For example, the study have been improved by presenting, improved by presenting information that is more structures and digestible manner. There is also an opportunity to enhance the paper clarity as well. More guided explanation within the visual would help reader better interpret the key finding. If the study remains visually dense, there is a risk that non-expert may struggle to understand its conclusion, limiting its broader impact. Now, let's conclude with the future, a research direction. Explain ML is an important step forward in making AI more transparent, but several areas need improvement. Future research should focus on scalability, ensuring explain ML can be handled at a large data set effectively. Additionally, a user interface should be simplified, balancing details with ease of interpretation. The paper could also benefit from a stronger implementation guideline, making explainable ML more accessible to AI practitioner. Most importantly, I must say, is that the future work, should improve the visual storytelling, guiding user more effectively through the AI explanation. Now, as I earlier highlighted, this is not my study. The primary reference for this presentation come from Lopez et al., a human-centered multi-perspective and interactive visual tools for AI for explainable machine learning. And I think I will stop here, and I thank you for listening.
Well, thank you. And yeah, this is a very hot topic, I guess. Well, it's been hot. I think now it's a big problem. People have been trying to do explainable AI for a while, even before the large language models, even when we only have convolutional networks and before transformers. So it's still kind of, the models are getting, for a better word, huger, but our capability of understanding them is not any better, or it's marginally better. For the small ones, we're not even able to touch the big ones yet, probably. So it's hard to prove a negative, but yeah, that's definitely a big problem and possible area of research, or possibly not an area of research, because people have been trying now for, again, before even the large language models, they were trying to make AI explainable. Well,